Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. So tonight's webinar is live Forex trading, live market analysis, and right, so we're getting to the analysis momentarily. Tomorrow evening, I will be going through the webinar 15-minute fib trade entry, showing you an entry style for intraday trading using Fibonacci. If you want to join me for that webinar, just register your interest at our webinar page. So before we move along this evening, if everybody can read through the disclaimer. And all right, for those that don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities, and I am full-time Forex trader. I've been trading the market now for more than 20 years, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me about the webinars, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And you can follow me through the week at our website, acy.com. Go to the Market News tab. At AUDJPY Securities Australia is our YouTube channel. And if you want to connect me personally, my Linktree page with my links is there. Just follow that handle. And if you want to get access to the chart layouts and templates I'm using in MT4 this evening, just contact Nathan Bray's emails on the screen. So nathan.bray@acy.com. And I will put that in the chat for everybody. Here we go. All right, so let's get into, first of all, the news for the week, which I'll just make sure my screen's shown properly. All right, so I'm at forexfactory.com and times are my time, Queensland time. We did have daylight saving time shift in the US, so the news items should be coming in an hour earlier wherever you are, unless you're in the US. So coming up, just want to make sure. Yep. All right, there's no news today. Getting into Wednesday, on the midnight, moving into Wednesday, we've got the US job openings. In tomorrow evening, we got the US core CPI month-on-month, CPI month-on-month, and CPI year-on-year. 11:45 for Canada. Interest rate statement. And the cash rate, expecting 25 basis point cut there. Press conference from the BOC at 12:30. 10:30 p.m. the next day, Thursday. We have then core PPI month-on-month, PPI month-on-month, unemployment claims. These figures may be similar to what gets reflected tomorrow. CPI. So it's going to be volatile for sure. Wednesday, Thursday with CPI, then PPI data coming out from the US. Because of course the market's going to be looking at those figures to see what the Fed may be doing. Friday, 5 p.m. for the pound, we've got GDP month-on-month. Moving into Saturday on the midnight, prelim UOM consumer sentiment and expectations. Right, so just know what's coming out. CPI, PPI are the big ones for the week. All right, so let's have a look at the dollar index. This is the weekly chart, and you can see we're making a fresh movement down at the moment. I have been alluding to the idea that maybe we've had this 62% rally and at least coming down to test support, if not move to the 127 extension. So all things point to downtrend at the moment on the dollar. Of course, CPI, PPI release this week could change that, but weekly trend is down, showing lower tops and bottoms there, and the daily is down. Maybe a little overextended. So, you know, it having 1 or 2 days up wouldn't be a surprise. But of course, the whole tariff thing at the moment from the US is probably the thing that's driving this south. So good bellwether though to watch what's happening on other currency pairs versus the US dollar. This isn't a clear downtrend, so I would not be trying to get along the US dollar side on a currency pair. it is declining in a strong downtrend, so I wouldn't book that trend. S&P 500 has been moving down. Now, what I've done here is on the monthly chart, people say, oh, it's at the top, but from a monthly scale, we're just having a retracement. We have high tops and bottoms, and we've almost been down to the 62% retracement. So whilst I move down through the time frames, the weekly trend is down, and the day trend is down. We're getting close to the 62% retracement. There is a weekly area of support here where we had quite a healthy correction down there. That top there is at 5669. It's 89. I like to have the exact numbers in. So if we, on the day scale, that's the weekly top there, but on the day scale, if we close back above there and we start to see intraday support starting to form around there this week, we've already had a bounce there on that candle, dropped through yesterday, but if we come back above there, that could be maybe suspicious for at least some form of rally back up in short term. And if we start to hang around, if we can't take that low out once formed, that could be the point for a bottom. All right. I'm not that concerned about this movement down at the moment. It's just, the last movement down was here. Relatively speaking, it's an equal move in terms of price and time. All right, very kind of even at the moment. So if we can't take that low out, maybe that is the correction. All right. So you don't have to be getting in now to the long side. If we are bottoming, you can wait for the day chart trend to turn up, or at least wait for the 4-hour chart to turn up, which it isn't doing at the moment. But if we start to see structure on the 4-hour chart turn up, then you can start to look at, okay, what would be my setup to get in? All right, so there's just a question at the moment. We're overextended now. Getting close to support zone, 62% level there. And, if we do start to see a 4-hour structure change to the upside, are we bottoming out, at least for, a week's rally? And we could be putting in a long-term low there as well. I'll have to wait and see. All right, currency pairs, Euro-dollars moved to a fresh high today. If you go to the weekly chart, I've been monitoring this range. And this week I have moved to my 12 pairs price action daylight saving because New York's moved to daylight saving. So to reset up all my charts today, or yesterday, but especially today for the webinar. So we have a weekly high coming up. The question is, as we're correcting back up here of this downward move, is this a rally, or are we going to come up, test the highs, test these highs? Day trend is up at the moment. Up here, there's a 79% level at 109.91 and a weekly level of resistance at 110. So over the coming few days, when we've got news coming out, US inflation data, price coming up to 110 and then holding, that could be a seller's level. So could this at 109.37 if you wish more to the sell side. I'm going to put my imbalances in that I had on my other charts. There's one there that's been filled. And back down here, I was saying, well, we're going to come up to fill these imbalances. And then there's one all the way up here. So we could be coming up to 1139, which is this weekly high over here, which coincides with the most definitely getting that imbalance filled. So big question is, are we going to keep the trend and fill the higher imbalance? So if you're a buyer, you really needed to have bought before now, I think. because at the moment we're at the top of a kind of a 2, 4, 6, 7 day move. So you'd really want to maybe try and wait for a dip if you're on the buy side of things. Sell side levels 109.37 and 110. All right, but I'm not too inclined to be going shorting at the moment. From a 4-hour perspective here, looking just for a dip on the 4-hour chart, there's the most immediate range. I would look, keep dragging the fib up if price keeps moving up, and look for a 62 to 79% pullback if you're wanting to keep with the trend. All right, don't be buying at the top of the move. All right, so it's a bit of a waiting game on some of these pairs at the moment. If you're trading with the trend, you're waiting for a dip. I might just leave that fib on there. Euro yen, I just want to look at the weekly. We're rather range bound, getting support down here, close to monthly support, weekly support. We are holding above this weekly low here, so I'd be inclined to think, just going to go to the daily, but we may come up to the top, up to 164.89 weekly resistance here. In fact, there's also monthly, no, they're both weekly. Oh, there's a monthly high there and a weekly high in here. So monthly, weekly, and you can see that we got 1, 2, 3, 4 highs in that area. So I'd be inclined to think that at the moment the euro yen is wanting to come up this way. Of course, we're holding on the first test of 160.118, and it isn't in a great area to be a buyer at the moment, which is so close to resistance. So if you're more bearish, of course, 160.118 is your level to watch at the moment. It's quite clearly held there. So if we came up there and then you saw your intraday trade failure there, quite clearly that would be the level to watch for failure. And you know, we could move back down. There's definitely a range of sorts here. And are we failing at the top? Any further failure up there would be a lower time frame setup. I'm inclined to think we may be moving up to the top of this area, 164.29 to 164.89. So to get long, I'd probably need to wait for this area to break. Look for the area intraday to be support to trade up. And for those of you that might want to be looking to the short side, there is a 79% level in the vicinity of where price is right now. All right, so it's holding at that 4-hour high. So if your viewpoint is to the downside, that might be a nice setup for you. And of course, that may continue down to support once more. There is an imbalance in here from last week. So need to determine which way, when we're rather range bound, price can go either way. Unless for our candidates moved up strongly because the euro dollar's moved up strongly. So I'm inclined to think we may move higher, but there's a 79% level there. If your viewpoint is I want to be getting short, then this could be the level to watch here. All right, we're only with just one candle rejecting from that level at the moment. But over the next hour or two, if you start to see structure here on the 50-minute chart breaking down, then do you want to get short? Euro pound, it's coming up to clear resistance. Now the overall trend, when we look at the monthly chart, is lower top, lower bottom, lower top. Yes, we're getting support down here from the monthly lows, this monthly low here at 82.76. So it could be rather range bound. Weekly, there's resistance there at 84.47. So that would be, to me, you can see the highs here and all these failures here is what happens on a lower time frame 50-minute chart at 84.47. Does it hold to want to move back down towards support? All right, so that's most definitely the level to watch, that level and this level, 84.73. All right, two levels to watch this week. If you like trading euro pound, it is, you know, if you're much more bullish and you want to be a buyer, oh, you can't buy here because you're at resistance and we're like 2, 4, 6 days up. This has to be overstretched and maybe getting ready for a pullback. So it's not what you want to be buying. But if you can see you're set up to sell, could be topping at resistance to moving back down support at 82.76 down at 82.59. Pound dollar did have a day down yesterday, but we're obviously positive today. And much like the euro dollar, we have this range that we're coming back up. And we have a weekly level there, 130.01, 131.42 over here as well. We're just at the moment at the 62 level. We've had 3 days holding there. Are we finally going to move above there? We have been filling some imbalances. There was one in here. So same commentary as the euro dollar. I've been saying, will the imbalances get filled? Now there's a lovely one up here. And there's actually one in there. So are we going to actually come up to fill all the imbalances that got formed on the way down? And if the euro, if the dollar keeps weakening, maybe we're going to take out last year's highs on maybe the pound dollar and the euro dollar over the coming month or two. So I had a day down yesterday. That may be as much as we can pull back if the US dollar continues its weakness. For our chart, if you're wanting to get short around the 62 area, because you think we just rallied now, it's a selling zone, you draw a fib there, and we're at 79% level just here at 129.27. As I'm talking, we're at that level. So you can be setting there, stop above the high. Are we topping out at the 62% level of that major range? You need to make a decision. Is that what you think is happening? And do you want to have a go at trading down from that area? Or are you much more bullish? I think if you're much more bullish at the moment, you probably need to see, let's go back to the 4-hour chart, structure to prove that we're not topping out here, that we are going to break above and then pull back maybe to last week's high for support to move higher. All right, so where it is at the moment, I think at the moment, the question is, are we just rallying up to that 79% level? And are we going to maybe move down? It's a bit range bound at the moment, as you can see. It's been down, rally down, coming up. So you need to make a decision on the pound dollar. Are you wanting to get short? Because that is the optimum. We're at the optimum area at the moment, the 79% level, if you're wanting to get short. My bias is really, I think, pairs to the US dollar moving up. All right, so my bias wouldn't be trading to the short side, but that would be would be the area to do it if your bias is to the short side. I think Breaking above yesterday's high and then waiting for a pullback in line with the trend is the go. Pound yen, rather range bound. The weekly chart here. You can see it's consolidating. It's been getting support on this weekly low. Falls breaking down through here. Actually sitting on this high over here, which is actually, if you go to the monthly chart, this monthly area of what was old resistance has become support for that pullback there. Bit consolidatory, but I would be watching 188.07, this weekly low. Can't do it today. Can it get down to 188.07 this week and hold? Be support for a move up. All right, that would be the area I would watch this week. We have failed at resistance here last week. So coming up for the sellers, 192.14 is rather range bound. So I would say this is support. This is resistance. Wedge range bound, trade the outskirts. All right, and at the moment of those outskirts, I've drawn them pretty much in the middle, and when I'm dealing with a range, I don't like to be trading in the middle. So I would just look to the outskirts. Aussie yen. Monthly chart, we're kind of in a downtrend here. Well, we're certainly trading down from a lower top, but we have a higher bottom. So trend actually on the monthly is mixed. Weekly is down. Over the coming weeks, I would most definitely watch 90.13 because we're at a massive rejection there. If you get back down to there, it's a high probability area. Even if we trade below, it's a high probability area that we would get a reversal back up from that level because of the support that came in last time, okay? In the day chart, not wanting to move below last week's low with any conviction. I'm pretty sure the Aussie's moving up today. It's positive for the day. So it's moving in line with the Aussie. I'm not seeing anything to do there at the moment. I would be a lot happier. What happens down here? Just at the moment where it's sitting on the chart, it's not an area that I necessarily like. I think today, if we finish right now today with that candle like so, I would anticipate we have a day up tomorrow that we're forming a little double bottom down here, and we're very low in this range that formed here. We're very low down. It's worth us understanding where the 7% level is. We're at the 7% level now of that range. So are we seeing a kind of double bottom forming there at or around the 7% level? We can see here, these 2 days, we're getting support. At the 7% level. Then we came down, which was a false break, and moved back up. Come back down to that low. So if that was to finish like so today, and we trade above it tomorrow, that confirms a double bottom. And we're at the 7% level. We could be seeing over time a move back up, and look to the left. There are imbalances that need filling. Potentially. So even if you wait a while, if you see this day chart turn to up from this area, it looks like a 7% retracement. And then you have to ask the question, are we going to be coming up longer term to fill those imbalances to the left? So I think over the coming days, if we do start to hold above the 79% level, it is definitely asking the question, do I need to start to look for a setup that can position myself to the upside? And just from a day chart entry, a break of today's high tomorrow would be a double bottom entry. Stop below these lows, and then you waiting to see how it can move up from that 79% level. Aussie dollar. Just tidy that off. All right, now this fib, this is the range of last week. Long term, this low over here at 61.70. I've been saying to the monthly chart, this low here at 61.70. Would we come back up within this range? 68.71 there. So can we come up to approximately the 69 area maybe? That is the question. This pullback to last week or the week before, and then last week where it was a positive inside week. That's the higher top on the weekly, or we're putting in a higher bottom. So daily, we came up last week. This is the range of last week. You can see that on the 4-hour chart. Couldn't quite get down to the 62% level. So 62.70, that level. When we're getting that level, 62.70 is this area here. So that low to the left is acting as some form of support from back in time. All right. What I'd like to see on the Aussie at the moment is, can we change the structure to a higher top on the 4-hour and then pull back? Maybe look for a 79% retracement. I know it's trading down there on the 4-hour chart at the moment. It's just trading back inside last week's candle, but with the CPI data coming out, if we were to come down, so this is last week's range, high to low. We did come down to 79% level tomorrow or the day after, and you know, fill this little imbalance here. That would definitely be a level I would watch this week, 62.24. At the moment, putting aside the news items coming out, we might be getting support here. So I'd like to see structure change to up and then look for a setup to get long. I'm already long, but if you're not already long, I would be looking for structure to change to the upside and then looking to trade up, because I think we may have bottomed down at 61.70 and I think we're going up towards the 69 level. Last week, the interest rate meeting minutes I think we had released, or we at least had some conversation from the RBA last week, and definitely indicated that maybe there's no more interest rate cuts coming anytime soon, which is only positive really for the the Aussie dollar, because we're not expecting any cuts. All right, New Zealand yen. I think we're bottoming down here. So if we're bottoming down here, the New Zealand yen, that will hold true on the Aussie yen. So there's a monthly low down here. We're a long way short of the monthly low on the Aussie yen, but we're creating a little mini double bottom maybe. All right. Weekly trends down. So everything's down to this massive rejection low. We did have a positive week though last week. And if that candle closes like that today, and then we have an up candle tomorrow, once we have an up candle tomorrow, that's kind of confirming this little mini double bottom. And this is maybe a bigger double bottom here. So a little double bottom forming at the possibility of a larger double bottom forming. to that monthly low. Now with the CPI data, I think any further revisits down here, because we don't know what the CPI data will bring and how the market will react. This low over here at 83.02 is most definitely support. So any revisit, false break, should be all over that to get to the long side. For our structure still down here at the moment, move to a lower bottom here. I never sell rallies when we've just moved down at or close to major support, because you can be selling a 7% rally here, but there's a higher probability that it's going to continue up and take out that top, then come down and go like that. So I don't trade rallies so close to support. I wait for a price structure reversal and I look to go the opposite way. All right, so the question, structure here on the 4 hour still down, but the question is, in this area, do any final retest down here between 83.14 and 83.02 for more movement up? Okay. Watch that area. Now, if you were wise and understood what was down here when we came down here today, you may have been able to get into a trade. There was a swing point break here that I teach through here when we got above these tops, and that's working out nicely. Could have already stopped below here. So the swing point breaks at that level just there. Stop below here. You could be at break even now, waiting to see if it's going to continue up all day. All right, so are we creating some minor double bottom to a major double bottom? If we're creating a major double bottom, target is the height of the pattern. So that's the height projected above. It's about 101.89. And like I was showing in the Aussie yen, there are some imbalances to be filled. Plenty of time to get long, plenty of time to see a lower time frame entry if this is a major double bottom. And if we're going to come up and fill these imbalances, there's plenty of time, but the sooner you get in, of course, the better risk reward you can create for yourself if you're going to hold something for the long term. All right, so all those imbalances get filled if we're holding down here. Right, New Zealand dollar. Bottom, higher bottom. This is another higher bottom. I'm still long at 55.20. The monthly chart, last 2 months have been positive, even though we put in a fresh low last month. Weekly trend, we put in a higher top. I think we're putting in a higher bottom. So the market's going to start, if we take out that top this week at 57.73, the market's going to see that we are maybe creating a double bottom on the monthly chart. It's going to see that we made a higher top, higher bottom. And then we should start to see maybe a lot more buyers coming into the market. So at the moment, we're just into some weekly tops here, which is just a little bit of an awkward area just to get long. We could be forming a higher bottom here. This is a range of last week. And I'd like to see the 4 hour structure change to up. So, if it was to come further up, can it take out high? Look for the first pullback after a break of a high on the 4 hour chart. All right, so I'm not interested in getting short because I think we're bottoming out and moving back up to the top of the range at least. So I'm only interested in some positive structure starting to show on the 4 hour chart and then looking for a setup to get long. back to the daily. You know, of the range of last week, if we could, when CPI, PPI data comes out, if we were to say visit the 79% level, I'm starting to hold after we visit, as at 56.21. You know, trying to get long on a setup lower down in last week's range would be ideal, especially if we have a week up this week by the end of the week. All right, so I'm anticipating that we're maybe going to have a week up this week, and we're going to take out this high, and you know, we're coming up this way. So like some of the other pairs, there is an imbalance in here. You know, are we going to come up to fill those imbalances? If we are, we're very low down here at the moment. You know, so look for your setup to get long, I think. All right, now dollar Canadian. Holding at the monthly highs. This weekly high here, 144.67. We traded there this week. That was a good level to look to get short. So this area here. $79 retracement, just missed a 79 by a couple of pips, but it held at the weekly high. That was the area to look for your short. May revisit this week, so that would be the area I will watch at the moment. Forex structure is still up, so it may still come back up. That would be the area to watch this week if we can revisit. 144.67 to 144.77. Now, if it doesn't get back into that area, you want to watch for the 4-hour chart to come down. Maybe rally back up to 144.50, so that's a daily level. But draw a fib across the range, wherever it, if it drops, look for the rally. I would look for the 79% level to get short then, to continue down. Now we do the CPI, PPI data obviously coming out, and interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada in the week. So we could still come higher up. There's another higher level over here where we held. These two daily candles rejected, 145.13. So 145.13 is definitely a level to watch if any volatility from news comes in and drives it up. We fell there twice already. So there could be a head and shoulder pattern forming. I think we've discussed that once before. There's this. All right. So this could have already put in that top now, and we know we've dropped. That may have already been the rally to the 79% level. We'll have to wait and see if it gives you another opportunity to trade there this week. We could be, you know, on its way down. You know, it's failed forming the right shoulder there, drop 79% rally to continue down. But the news from the week may create a bit of volatility just to get a higher price and a better entry point. All right. So you just have to watch, see if you can get a higher price. I think the bias is at the moment to sell in line with that US dollar weakness. We are getting interest rate cut potentially on the Canadian side of the quote, which potentially you would say is bullish for the dollar Canadian, but with the US dollar being so weak at the moment, and the market's probably already factored in that 25 basis point cut. And Sam, you're saying a 4-hour head and shoulder pattern. Well, yeah, you could be one on the 4-hour. So at the 79% area there. So that sort of thing. Yeah. So that could be a head and shoulder pattern of sorts there, within the larger one forming on the higher time frame, with this top up here being a right shoulder. Yeah. All right, dollar franc. On the weekly, it's still this range bound event, and within this triangle, and we're kind of in the middle almost of that triangle pattern. So that doesn't really excite me too much. The fact that it's in the middle of that consolidation. The daily is overextended. So if I wanted to trade this pair, I would need to see a day chart rally with that range. And can we come up to this area here at 89.12? Broken support to be resistance. That would be my play if I wanted to play a dollar franc. Lock in here. Probably like so. It did have a positive day yesterday, and it's positive today, whereas the euro dollar keeps moving up. So the correlation of those two pairs is slightly off at the moment, but the trend is down within that long-term weekly triangular consolidation pattern. We are generally in the middle of that consolidation as well, so where it is isn't that enticing, but trend is down. Are we long-term coming down to the bottom of the triangle? So wanting to look to sell a rally if a rally occurs. All right, dollar yen, it's been continuing down. On the big scale, potentially we have a 79%. We actually broke the monthly low there just. So that turned the trend down, and then we come all the way back up to 79% level. Now, are we coming down towards the 127 extension? Continue that changing trend occurring. Weekly trend is down. We've broken below this weekly low, so that would be the level to watch for a rally point at the moment. That's the level to watch this week, 148.63. Well, now that we've broken below, could see how we held there through this period, and now we've committed below. So that should be resistance, because those that were buying there, creating support, price move below. If they're still long, they want to get clear their longs on any rally back to that level, so they can get out of break even. So that would be the level to watch at the moment, 148.63 to trade the dollar yen. To be moving down towards 140.24 long term, a monthly low. And 4 might just be turning up here, so, and that area at 148.63 as well is where last month's low is. So that would be a potential strong area of resistance. So that is definitely a level to watch. If price can rally this week, what happens at 148.63? Can you see it in your setup to get short? just keep trading with the trend. Trend is down. So with that in mind, look, be patient and wait for the opportunity of a rally to occur. All right, we'll just finish on gold, which, monthly trend is clearly up here. We had a month down, an inside month. We've been to a fresh high last month, bit of a rejection up there. But that's a new all-time high. There's nothing up here to reject from except for the fact that we're at all-time high and people taking profits. Excuse me. Weekly trend is up. We might be putting in another higher bottom here now after moving above this monthly top. And this looks suspiciously like maybe a higher bottom is going to form in this area. 4-hour trend is down at the moment. I think the bias is to the upside, and I think this is a range of last week. This movement down here is to the 62 to 79% area. This is maybe the low of the week to move up to test, test the all-time high. I'd like, like any instrument, I like to buy a dip, and this 4-hour trend at the moment is down. So I would like to see structurally, if we're moving up, can we take out a 4-hour high, even trade above all these highs here? Then have a dip to the 62.79% zone to continue up. All right, so for me to trade, that would need to do some work. I need something to set up to tell me that I can look for a long setup, because at the moment the trend is down there on the 4-hour, but it is looking like that's last week's range. We've had a 62% retracement on last week's range. We could be finding support there for the low of the week to move up. So it's just a question of allowing price to form something that you like the look of that you can trade. Of course, when we get CPI and PPI data being released, things could change. But at the moment, it's looking like it's had its dip for the week within the range of last week, and could well now be moving up for the week. But always look to buy a dip. So some pairs at the moment, or instruments, they need to set up. Can't just jump on the chart and go, okay, well, I know what direction is going. I'm just going to jump in. Like the euro dollar, prime example. This is at the top of the move. I want to buy a dip. So I've got my fib drawn there. And if we can have a retracement within the fib tool, then I could look to buy a dip. I just don't want to buy at the top of the move. That pound, like I was saying, some traders have been selling here at the 79% level, trying to get this to go down. But as I was saying, whilst that would be the short setup if you wanted to get short, the day trend is up. And to the day chart, it's probably coming up to fill these imbalances. So you have to be patient. You need to buy a dip. There's no dip there at the moment. The dip actually was yesterday when we came into this area down here and it started to hold. Then you needed to decide, did you want to get long on a lower time frame? Because we don't want to get long into last week's high up here. So price action needs to set something up for a dip, so you can buy it on a dip for the next move up. All right, I'm going to wrap things up there. So just be aware on the news. Price action is a little bit tricky at the moment. It's some pullbacks somewhere within the trend that we're seeing versus the US dollar to get long. And, two big items this week: CPI from the US, PPI from the US. If we get any surprises, we could get a reversal. US dollar. If CPI goes up, that's potentially strength for the US dollar. If it significantly goes up, those figures at the moment, expectation is that the figures are going to decrease. So that if they actually increase, that's going to mean US dollar strength. PPI equal, slightly down on month on month. All right, so if they all come in as expected, the market will have already factored that in, and we might not see too much volatility. But if we get figures coming in higher, that would potentially add US dollar strength, or at least pairs to the US dollar will dip, and you can look for the opportunity to buy a dip. Okay. All right, if you want to join me tomorrow for tomorrow's webinar, which is the 50-minute fib trade entry, 12th of March here, just head over to the webinar page. There's a link at the top. Register your interest, and look forward to seeing you then. All right, everybody, thanks very much. See you next time.